Ahojte, ja som Marian Lipovský a vy počúvate podcast Timothy Worship Centra. Ďakujeme, že ste sa ku nám dnes pridali a dúfam, že vás budeme inšpirovať, pomôžeme vám rásť vo viere, v osobnom vzťahu s Pánom Ježišom Kristom a vo všetkom, do čoho vás Pán Boh volá. Užite si túto tému.
Hey, my name is Francisca Castro. I'm from Vancouver Island, British Columbia, Canada, and I just want to share with you just a bit of my story of how I came to Jesus. I was raised in a Catholic home, going to the Catholic Church when I was younger, and when we grew up, we got a little bit older, our parents stopped taking us to church, and then just life started happening, and then when I started in high school, I kind of started drinking and doing drugs, and it started to kind of escalate, and it was getting worse and worse and worse to the point of I was getting very drunk and high every weekend, and that lifestyle led me to overdosing Halloween 2010, and I woke up in the hospital. I couldn't really believe what had happened. Couldn't believe my life got to that point, and so throughout that healing, coming out of that process, I felt in my heart a need to go to church, and there was a specific church that a friend had told me about, a Christian church, and so my girlfriend and I went, and that Sunday we heard the gospel, and how Jesus died for us, and then how he rose from the dead to give you new life. And we both were moved by it, so we both responded and both put up our hands to receive Jesus, even though we didn't really know fully what that was. And so the assistant pastor came up from behind us, and he's like, "Hey, I saw that you put up your hands," and then he just led us in a prayer of inviting Jesus to come and to take over. And from that moment, after praying and inviting Jesus into our hearts, I was instantly set free from drugs and pornography. But then I was still in bondage with alcohol, and there was this change in me, and I'm like, wow, God's real. Jesus revealed himself to me. But then I was getting drunk on Saturdays, going to church Sunday, and I was in worship one Sunday night after this all happened, after I was changed, and God convicted my heart, and he said, "Son, you're being an on and off Christian," and he showed me a flickering light on, off, and then he said, "You're either all in or you're all out." And I was like, whoa, okay, I'm all in, help me. And I knew what he was talking about, specifically the alcohol and still looking like the world. And long story short, he saw my heart that I wanted to be free, and it wasn't long after that the desire to drink, the desire to go clubbing and to get drunk was just gone, just miraculously gone. And I was in shock, I was in awe. I'm like, wow, what is happening? And everything I was experiencing in my life, on the inside, on the outside, I began to see it in the Bible. The Bible was confirming what I was experiencing. And God just gave me such a hunger for his word, a hunger for him. And one of the things that a passion he gave me was evangelism and healing. So prayer evangelism. And as a young Christian, God kind of brought these on fire young people around me, and we started heading out to the streets and doing something called treasure hunts. And basically what that is we would pray and wait on God and ask God where he wants us to go, who to pray for, what to pray for. And everyone would typically get a vision or something of, hey, we should go here, or someone would get pain in their shoulder, and then we would write it down. And then together we would go out onto the street and find the clues, or the treasure things that God showed us. And so most of the time we would actually find exactly what God had spoken. And it was just amazing being like 1-2 years old in Jesus and already experiencing all that. And it really just burned in my heart, just a passion for the lost, a passion for souls, a passion for miracles. And since then, I've been pursuing God with all my heart and wanting to see people's lives transformed. My life was so radically transformed, just snatched out of darkness, that I know that it's possible for anyone. And I just want to encourage you too, just that if there's anyone far from God in your life that it seems impossible to reach, I just want to encourage you to keep believing, because it's not impossible. If God could reach my heart, if he could reach my friends' hearts, he can definitely reach your family, your friends, your loved ones. So just keep believing and keep praying. And so I would just be moved by compassion, and just reading in the Bible, in the book of Acts, how they would go out, they would meet in their homes, they'd meet in the temple, and then they would go out and evangelize, and they would see healings and salvations, and the Lord added to their number daily thousands. And I'm just like, oh, I want this so badly. And so wherever I was always turned on. I would be willing to preach the gospel, to pray for the sick. So I worked in a restaurant for 9 years, and I wasn't Christian for part of it, and then I became Christian. And so when I became Christian, I started to tell everyone about Jesus in the restaurant. I was praying for servers, I was praying for chefs, for my boss, and I just couldn't stop. And I wasn't even getting in trouble. It was so cool, just God protecting me. There was times where we were in the back, and there was servers that were just crying in the back because God was touching them. It was just so beautiful, and just God healing people, like in the kitchen in front of the restaurant and things like that. And then after that, I got hired as a youth worker, and I worked in a youth apartment where there was a lot of at-risk youth. So youth that struggle with addictions or homeless, foster, and things like that. And I was looking after the building. So keep in mind that I wasn't in ministry. I wasn't a full-time minister, evangelist. I wasn't a full-time pastor, youth. I wasn't any of those things. I was just a normal Christian in my job. And I was seeing God touch people, youth, coworkers, and different people were getting healed, were getting saved. I saw legs grow out. One of the youth, I was fixing like a door, and he's like, yeah, I gotta go to the chiropractor tomorrow because my back is in so much pain. I'm like, oh, what's going on with your back? And he said, and he told me, and then I'm like, oh, could I pray for you? Is that okay? And he's like, sure. And so I just grabbed his hand, prayed, and I said, how's your back? And Jesus removed all the pain. He was fully healed. And he was like, what's going on? And I don't know if he went to the chiropractor after that, but he was fully healed. And one amazing thing about this experience at this youth housing was when I quit that job to join Youth for Christ, my boss, she's not a Christian, she told me that when my family and I moved into the building, out of her own words, she said that the atmosphere of the building changed. This was a person who's not a believer in God. She's not Christian. And she said that when we moved in, the atmosphere of the building changed. And I was just like so encouraged that was coming from a non-Christian. And just, it's so cool. You know, God is so real. And I just want to encourage you, like, you actually don't have to be an evangelist. You don't have to be a pastor. You don't. If you're a Christian, you're in full-time ministry, and the word for evangelism or evangelist in Greek, it actually means bringer of good news. And if you're a Christian, you have good news to share. So I want to just encourage you to just seek God in the secret place and to ask Him to light your heart on fire, and for passion for the lost, passion for the church, that He would touch you in the secret place, and from that place that you would go out and just love people, that you would love the hell out of people, literally. Amen.
Ďakujeme, že ste počúvali podcast Timothy Worship Centra. Ďakujeme hlavne všetkým vám, ktorí za nami stojíte modlitebne a finančne a takto s nami spolupracujete. Aj vďaka vám naše služby môžu bežať aj naďalej. Ale ak nás ešte nepodporujete, chcem vás poprosiť, mohli by ste sa modliť a pýtať Pána Boha, či sa nemáte stať našimi partnermi služby aj vy. Týmto spôsobom sa naša služba stane aj vašou. Možno ste boli počas mnohých rokov nejakým spôsobom požehnaní cez službu a piesne Timothy kapely, cez Transformation Tour, TVC školu, live streamy na našom YouTube a cez iné naše služby. A tak vaša pravidelná alebo príležitostná finančná podpora pomôže zase nám pokračovať v službe ďalej. A nezabudnite, žiadny dar nie je príliš malý. Ak sa vám naše podcasty páčili, môžete sa prihlásiť na odber, môžete to zdieľať so svojimi priateľmi na sociálnych sieťach, alebo pre viac informácií navštívte našu stránku tvc.sk. Tam tiež nájdete možnosť dostať sa ku CD-čkam kapely Timothy, knihám a iným materiálom, ktoré sme vydali. Podporiť nás môžete aj priamo cez náš QR kód alebo na našej web stránke cez náš bankový účet. Ďakujeme, že ste s nami a buďte požehnaní.